Welcome to the Designing Your Future Self podcast with Andrea C. McLean. This is the space where people are inspired to take charge of their lives, embrace their authentic selves, and design a future filled with confidence, purpose, and fulfillment. Hosted by board-certified life, career, and executive coach, Andrea C. McLean, each episode is packed with empowering strategies and practical tools to help you unlock your potential and create the life you've always envisioned. So, get ready to explore new possibilities, overcome obstacles, and step boldly into the future you deserve. Your journey starts now.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. On today's episode, we're tackling an issue that's been a barrier for far too long: gender bias in the workplace. Whether it's being overlooked for a promotion, receiving less credit for your ideas, or facing microaggressions, gender bias shows up in many forms, but it can be confronted and dismantled. In today's episode, we'll explore how to recognize gender bias, strategies to address it, and how you can advocate for change, not just for yourself, but for all the women in your organization. Let's start by identifying what gender bias looks like. Some forms are overt, like being told directly that a leadership role might be too demanding for a woman. But many are more subtle. Think about times when a man's idea was praised after you just said the same thing, or when you were interrupted in a meeting and no one seemed to notice. These experiences aren't just frustrating, they can chip away at your confidence over time. But awareness is the first step toward change. Here are 3 strategies that we can use for tackling gender bias. Step 1, document your value. One of the most effective ways to combat bias is to have hard evidence of your contributions. Keep a record of your achievements, metrics, and feedback from colleagues or clients. This isn't about bragging, it's about having a clear picture of the value you bring. When the time comes to advocate for yourself, you'll have concrete examples to back you up. Step 2, address bias head-on. When you encounter bias, it can be tempting to stay silent, especially if you're worried about being labeled as difficult. But addressing it doesn't have to be confrontational. Sometimes a simple comment can spark awareness. For example, if someone interrupts you in a meeting, you might say, "I'd like to finish my thought before we move on." Or if your idea gets overlooked, try saying, "I'm glad that idea resonates. I suggested it earlier, and here's how I think we can implement it." These moments may seem small, but they can shift the dynamic over time. Step 3, build allies and advocate for change. Gender bias isn't just an individual problem, it's a systemic one. That's why building allies, both men and women, is critical. Start by finding people in your organization who share your commitment to equity. Maybe it's a colleague who consistently amplifies women's voices in meetings, or a leader who champions diversity initiatives. Together, you can work to create a more inclusive culture. And if your company doesn't have formal policies or training around bias, consider advocating for them. Whether it's starting a diversity council or organizing workshops, these efforts can make a lasting impact. Tackling gender bias is no small task. It requires courage, persistence, and a willingness to have uncomfortable conversations. But the rewards go beyond your own career. By breaking barriers, you're paving the way for other women to rise. You're challenging the status quo and helping to build workplaces where everyone can thrive. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. Each of us has the power to influence change, no matter where we sit in an organization. Start by speaking up for yourself, and then extend that advocacy to others. And you don't have to do it alone. There's strength in community. Together, we can create workplaces where bias doesn't stand a chance. Let's keep breaking barriers and designing futures where everyone has a seat at the table. Until next time, I'm Andrea C. McLean, reminding you that your voice matters, your contributions are valuable, and you have the power to lead change.
We hope today's episode has inspired you to take the next step toward creating the life and future you deserve. Remember, transformation starts with intention, and you have the power to design your path. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others who could use some inspiration. For more insights and resources, visit AndreaCMcLean.com or connect with Andrea on social media. Until next time, keep dreaming, planning, and taking action toward your future self. You've got this.